der G16.
The core concept behind Outward is to make a game in which for once, an RPG in which for once you are not some kind of special superhero, but just a regular person, a dude or a dudette that happens to be in a very difficult situation. And the whole point is to make a world that will make you feel vulnerable. And that is why we have more than just enemies to be wary of. An infected wound or the cold of the night can be as dangerous as a predator that is lurking about. And for that reason the game is extremely hard, because we want the player to need to be crafty, not mighty. And we want the player to feel like if he is sufficiently prepared, things feel manageable. But if it comes right at him, he will feel overwhelmed and quite possibly get defeated. Yeah. Even for melee combat, we have that same mindset of dividing things in multiple steps. So if you were, for instance, to play a warrior that focus on rage, you have that skill of enraging yourself, and then you can use specialized attack like the Savage Strike, which is a very powerful double strike that inflicts pain and bleeding on your enemy. Or there's the Predator Leap, where he jumps into the target and slams on the ground, and that has a lot of impact and might knock down your enemies. It's a very good combat starter, for instance. Or actually, I'm going to show you 3 different play styles that we prepared for you. The Imbue one is a melee warrior that uses magic to add elemental properties on his weapon. And he's got this special get out of jail card, which is the Gong Strike skill, where he smashes his weapon on his shield, and that generates a big blast, but that removes the enchantment from your weapon. So you gotta make it count, because then you lost one of those things that gave you that extra edge in combat. The gunner is using in one hand a sword and the other hand a one-shot pistol. But here's the thing, he's crafty. So if you have a frost boon on yourself, which is something you can cast to just keep yourself cooler, especially in the desert, but he uses that cool boon and create a frost bullet inside of his pistol, and that is faster than recharging it manually with everything. So you could first, you charge a bullet, fire it, use your frost boon, put it in your gun, and now you can fire a second time in a relatively quick amount of time. And there's this skill that I absolutely love, is the blood bullet. When you are possessed, it's another boon that you can have on yourself. You can absorb the blood of your enemy, and that forms a blood bullet inside your gun that you can fire afterward. So you can like prepare all of those skills so that you can end up firing like 4 bullets in a row out of a one-shot pistol, and that just feels like you're being clever at it. But if you don't do the things in the right order, that won't work. So once again, it goes to that mindset of you need to prepare yourself before heading into combat. And then we have the Sigil Mage, which, like I said, is very emblematic. He's got the Fire Sigil to throw Fireball and immolate himself. He's got the Frost Sigil, from which he can throw ice projectiles and do ice novas around him, and the wind sigil, which is a bit different from the two others because they don't require a mana stone to be expended, but you need to have activated the right altar in the different regions to have access to the wind powers. And instead of using an item, it has a very long cooldown, so you need to do it when it counts. So you just interact with small spells that seem almost worthless on their own, but in different contexts and different sigils, they have a much bigger effect. And they're also all in a different region. So one is in the Chersonese, which is the starting area where sometimes it starts snowing. The gunner is in the Abrasar Desert, where it's really warm, so you wouldn't go in there with a full plate armor because the sun. And the sigil mage is in a dungeon in the marsh. So take your pick.
Is it a single player now?
Oh, I love that question. This is, to my knowledge, pretty much the only open world RPG that you can play in split screen co-op. And online as well.
Was hättest du denn gerne? Ich würde ja unglaublich gerne diese Blutbullet sehen, aber ich bin mir nicht sicher, ob ich das hinbekomme.
Mach ich irgendwie.
It's a mini warrior that mentions his weapon elements.
Oh, so he doesn't get to pick anything, or?
Oh, yeah, you will just need to press start and next drop in, drop
Oh, okay.
It has a structure very similar to Borderlands or Diablo, where you have your own world and you can bring your saved character into someone else's game to assist them. And if you progress, find loot or buy new skills, well, you can take that back into your own game. Weirder creatures like the walking hives that you just encountered, they could take you into their dungeon, or you might be saved by a passing mercenary who's gonna help bring you back to the town, like what just happened there. Or always, I'd say maybe between 3 and 5 different scenarios depending on where you are. So that keeps you on edge, and you're wondering like, okay, now I died, now what? What's gonna happen to me? What again? So now you were brought to a city, which is pretty cool because it would have been pretty far away if you tried to walk your way there. Your backpacks are laid about. If you look at your maximum health and maximum stamina, they are heavily burnt out from that situation. So that's when you need to rest, to sleep.
Apart from that, the lower health, what are the other consequences of dying? Do we like lose stuff?
One of the worst consequences is that you lose time. And most of the quests in that game, because the world does not revolve around you, are timed. And if you don't do your things, you either will not have the best reward, or sometimes your quest will fail entirely. And the consequences can be pretty important. In one case, you can lose an entire city. And there are only 4 of them. So yeah, I would recommend for you to go at an inn. I'm not even sure you have enough money to pay for a room right now, so you could go to a merchant and sell some of your things to go at an inn and then sleep it off. So that is one of the consequences. Oh yeah, the map does not tell you where you are. You have to look at the landmarks and estimate what is your position.
Just sleep on the streets or something like that?
Well, you could set up camp in the streets, I think, but one of the advantage of sleeping at an inn is that it also refills your needs, like your thirst and your hunger. Whereas if you set up camp, you only restore, you're only resting, but then you're going to need a meal that might cost you about as much as a meal at an inn. And we have these breakthrough skills, which essentially once you unlock that skill, it also gives you access to the next skill, the second half. But you can only do that for 3 trainers out of 8. So you kind of multi-class and mix and match to create your own playstyle.
I mean, we didn't get to see a lot of the world itself. How big is it in total?
We have 4 different regions and 4 different cities, and about 6 to 8 big dungeons, and we have like a lot of smaller ones that punctuate the areas. We're talking about like and we have 3 different storylines because you're not a special hero, you can't do everything at once. So if you want to know the whole story, you need to go through 3 different playthroughs with different factions. All in all, we estimate about 100 hours of playtime if you try to do everything there is in there. But this is a case of really just every nook and cranny here. I don't think that most people would play that much. Or will they? I don't know.
Just another quick question. What's the difference between the RT options or the left trigger options and the right trigger options? Are there like different defensive and offensive stats, or is it like just a huge amounts of...
You just set them yourself. You have 8 quick slots and you decide which item or skills you put in there.